Diyos ug makagagahom nga Amahan, salamat sa mga grasya nga among nadawat, labi na sa gasa sa kinabuhi. Hinaot unta nga kami hatagan sa gasa sa pagsabot ug mahayagan ang among hunahuna ug among gilauman, ikaw magahatag kanamo sa proteksyon. Sa mga magtutudlo, magapadayon ang ilang kinasing-kasing nga pag-alagad. Una kami sa kalipay, aron mulambo ang tinuod na gugma ug kaluoy sa matag adlaw. Ining tanan among gilauman, sa ngalan ni Jesus, Amen. Bayang magiliw, perlas sa silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bukaw. May dilagang tula at awit sa paglayo minamahal, ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niyang kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw nang luwalhati pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
The Department of Education, Division of TANGKUB City, in partnership with the local government unit of TANGKUB, presents ang TANGKUB, transforming advancement in the new normal, guiding K-12 learners under broadcast media, a TV-based instructional program crafted in response to the need of making education possible and accessible to students at the comfort of their homes. It covers the most essential competencies thematically layered in drama plays, which were originally written, directed, and performed by teachers to see to it that education is securely provided. This is ang TANGKUB.
It's TANGKUB, TANGKUB, TANGKUB time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya. Tugtog na.
Kumusta mga bata? Sa dili pa nato sugdan ang atong pagtulunan karong adlaw, ato sang balikan ang ato nang nakatunan. Atong nakatunan ang letrang T nga adunay tingog nga T. Karon mga bata, paminawa ang kanta mahitungod sa letrang T.
Magbasa na kita sa Sa dakong letrang T, basahon ta siya. Magbasa na kita sa gamayng letrang T, basahon ta siya. Sama sa trianggulo, tabanog, tatlo o tulo. Di sama sa transportasyon, TV, tansan o tilon. Tilon! Magbasa na kita sa dakong letrang T, basahon ta siya. Basahon ta siya.
Mga bata, usba paglitok ang letrang T. Sakto! Mga bata, usba paglitok ang tingog sa letrang T. Maayo! Karon mga bata, ato nang sugdan ang atong pagtulunan karong adlaw. Kini mahitungod sa letrang E. Andama og paklia ang inyong self-learning materials, page 15. Diha inyong makita ang letrang E. Karon mga bata, tan-awa ang akong baba ug paminawa kung unsaon ang saktong paglitok sa letrang E. E. Akong usbon mga bata. E. Karon mga bata, tudloa ang unang linya ug magdungan kita sa paglitok sa dakong letrang E. E. Atong usbon mga bata. E. Balikon ta mga bata. E. Usbon ta sa makausa mga bata. E. Karon mga bata, tudloa ang ikaduhang linya ug ilitok ang dakong letrang E. Usba paglitok mga bata. Balika pa mga bata. Usba pa sa makausa mga bata. Sakto! Karon mga bata, tudloa ang ikatulong linya ug magdungan kita sa paglitok sa gamay nga letrang E. E. Atong usbon mga bata. E. Balikon ta mga bata. E. Usbon ta sa makausa mga bata. E. Karon mga bata, tudloa ang ikaupat nga linya ug ilitok ang gamay nga letrang E. Usba paglitok mga bata. Balika pa mga bata. Usba pa sa makausa mga bata. Sakto! Karon mga bata, tanawa ang posisyon sa baba sa hulagway nga inyong makita tapad sa letrang E. Paminawa og sunduga ko kung unsaon ang saktong paglitok sa tingog sa letrang E. Akong usbon mga bata. Karon mga bata, tudloa ang unang linya ug magdungan kita sa paglitok sa tingog sa dakong letrang E. Atong usbon mga bata. Balikon ta mga bata. Atong usbon makausa mga bata. Karon, tudloa pagbalik ang unang linya ug ilitok ang tingog sa dakong letrang E. Usban ninyo paglitok mga bata. Balika pa mga bata. Usba pa sa makausa mga bata. Maayo! Karon mga bata, tudloa ang ikaduhang linya ug ilitok ang tingog sa dakong letrang E. Usba pa mga bata. Balika pa mga bata. Usba pa sa makausa mga bata. Sakto! Karon mga bata, tudloa ang ikatulong linya ug magdungan kita sa paglitok sa tingog sa gamay nga letrang E. Atong usbon mga bata. Balikon ta mga bata. Atong usbon makausa mga bata. Karon mga bata, tudloa pagbalik ang ikatulong linya ug ilitok ang tingog sa gamay nga letrang E. Usban ninyo paglitok mga bata. Balika pa mga bata. Usba pa sa makausa mga bata. Maayo! Karon, tudloa ang ikaupat nga linya ug ilitok ang tingog sa gamay nga letrang E. Usban ninyo mga bata. Balika pa mga bata. Usba pa sa makausa mga bata. Sakto! Karon mga bata, paklia ang page 15 sa inyong activity sheets ug sunda ang putol-putol nga linya aron makasulat kamo sa letrang E. Karon mga bata, samtang nagsulat kamo sa inyong activity sheets, paminawa ang kanta mahitungod sa letrang E.
Magbasa na kita sa dakong letrang E. Basahon ta siya. Magbasa na kita sa gamayng letrang E. basahon ta siya. Isama sa estudyante, eraser, exam o eclipse. Isama sa El Salvador, Egypt, England, Ecuador. Magbasa na kita sa dakong letrang E, basahon ta siya. Basahon ta siya.
Karon mga bata, samtang nagsulat kamo sa inyong activity sheets, paminawa ko kung unsaon nako pagbasa ang mga ngalan sa hulagway nga makita sa ubos sa inyong self-learning materials. Ang unang hulagway mao ang elepante. Elepante. Ang ikaduhang hulagway mao ang X. X. Ang ikatulo nga hulagway nagpakita sa eroplano. Eroplano. Hangtod sa sunod nga higayon mga bata. Daghang salamat. Enjoy!
Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta.
Hello mga bata! Kumusta kayo sa araw na ito? Ako si Teacher Popoy. Sa araw na ito, ating sisimulan ang ating panibagong leksyon sa Filipino. Mga bata, basahin natin ang mga pangalan ng mga larawan na nagsisimula sa titik B. Ang titik B ay may tunog na B. Ngayon, kilalanin at babasahin natin ang mga pangalan na nasa larawan. Basahin natin ang pangalan ng bata, baso, bahay, bangka, baka, baboy, bulaklak, buko. Ngayon, basahin ninyo ang mga salita na makikita sa screen. Simulan na ninyo mga bata. Kung ang salita ay binasa ninyo na bata, tama mga bata. Kung ang salita ay binasa ninyo na baso, magaling mga bata. Kung ang salita ay binasa ninyo na bahay, magaling mga bata. Kung ang salita ay binasa ninyo na bangka, tama mga bata. Kung ang salita ay binasa ninyo na baka, magaling mga bata. Kung ang salita ay binasa ninyo na baboy, magaling mga bata. Kung ang salita ay binasa ninyo na bulaklak, tama mga bata. Kung ang salita ay binasa ninyo na buko, magaling mga bata. Ngayon mga bata, basahin naman natin ang mga parirala na may mga salitang nagsisimula sa titik B. Basahin natin ang mga parirala na makikita sa screen. Halimbawa mga bata, ang bata. Simulan na ninyo mga bata. Kung ang parirala ay binasa ninyo na ang bahay, magaling! Kung ang parirala ay binasa ninyo na ang baka, tama! Kung ang parirala ay binasa ninyo na ang buko, magaling! Kung ang parirala ay binasa ninyo na ang baso, tama mga bata! Kung ang parirala ay binasa ninyo na ang bangka, magaling mga bata! Kung ang parirala ay binasa ninyo na ang baboy, tama mga bata! Kung ang parirala ay binasa ninyo na ang bulaklak, magaling mga bata! Ngayon mga bata, basahin na ninyo ang mga parirala na inyong makikita sa screen. Simulan na ninyo mga bata! Ngayon, babasahin ko ulit isa-isa ang mga parirala at alamin ninyo kung wasto ba ang inyong pagbasa sa mga parirala. Ang bata at ang baso. Ang bahay at ang bangka. Ang baka at ang baboy. Ang buko at ang bulaklak. Mga bata, basahin na natin ang mga pangungusap na makikita sa screen. Simulan na ninyo mga bata. Kung ang pangungusap ay binasa ninyo na ang bata ay malusog, tama! Kung ang pangungusap ay binasa ninyo na ang bahay ay malinis, magaling! Kung ang pangungusap ay binasa ninyo na may tubig ang baso, tama! Kung ang pangungusap ay binasa ninyo na may bangka sa tubig, magaling! Kung ang pangungusap ay binasa ninyo na mabango ang bulaklak, tama! Ngayon mga bata, basahin na natin ang isang tula na inyong makikita sa screen na pinamagatang Bata. Simulan na ninyo mga bata! Ngayon mga bata, babasahin ko ang tula at alamin ninyo kung tama ba ang inyong pagbasa sa tula. Bata. May dalawang bata, maliit at malaki. Isang babae at isang lalaki. Kahit hindi sila pareho kalaki, masaya silang naglalaro palagi. Dahil sila ay mga batang mabait at mabuti. Kung ang tula ay binasa ninyo katulad ng aking pagbasa, magaling! Para sa inyong unang gawain, mga bata, tingnan ang ibabang bahagi ng tula na inyong binasa at sagutin ang mga tanong na inyong makikita. At para naman sa inyong ikalawang gawain, mga bata, buksan ang ika-79 na pahina ng inyong Module B. At para naman sa inyong takdang aralin, mga bata, gayahin at isulat ang titik B sa kursibong pagsulat nito. Hanggang sa muli mga bata, sana'y may natutunan kayo sa araw na ito. Enjoy!
addition, subtraction ug ang division. Problema dali ra sulbaron, kay ang mati ay sayo. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayo. Sa duha tulo, upat lima unom, ang mati ay sayo. Ang mati ay sayo. Ang mati ay sayo. Sa Filipino, natuto tayo mabigas magsalita sa sariling wika. Tula at kwento sa sariling bansa, tayo na mag-aral na tayo. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, N, O, P, R, S, T, Q, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Ha, 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 hi, 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 Sa Filipino, matuto tayo mabigas magsalita sa sariling wika. Tula at kwento sa sariling bansa, tayo na mag-aral na tayo. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, N, O, P, R, S, T, Q, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Ha, 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 hi, 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 Ha, 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 hi, 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 Ha, 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 hi, hi, hi,
Kumusta mga bata? Welcome sa atong klase sa kindergarten. Dini gihapon kita magklase sa tulungaan sa telebisyon o sa radyo. Gahapon atong nakatunan ang bahin sa tulid nga linyang pahigda o horizontal line. Karong buntaga, magkat-on kita kung unsaon pagsulat ang pahirig patuo nga linya o right slant line pinaagi sa pagsurbay sa mga putol-putol nga linya. Mga bata, tan-awa ko ninyo kung unsaon ako paghimo sa linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Tan-awa ko mga bata, magsulat ko sa hangin gamit ang akong tudlo. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Akong usbon mga bata. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Akong usbon sa makausa mga bata. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Karon mga bata, tan-awa kini nga hulagway sa putol-putol nga linya. Ako kining supayon gamit ang lapis. Aron mahimo kining linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line.
Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Akong usbon mga bata. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Akong usbon sa makausa mga bata. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Karon mga bata, magdungan ta sa paghimo sa linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line sa hangin gamit ang atong mga tudlo. Nasabtan mga bata?
Yes, teacher!
Okay, ready? Go! Ikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Ikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Ikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Kini silver slant line. Karon mga bata, kamo na usab ang maghimo sa pagsubay sa mga putol-putol nga linya aron makasulat o makaporma sa linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Tan-awa ang inyong practice worksheets mga bata. Anaa diha ang sinulat nga putol-putol nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Sige mga bata, gamit ang iyong lapis. Subaya ka na aron maporma ang linya nga pahirig patuo o right slant line. Sige, sugdi na. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Nasubay na ninyo mga bata? Kung nasubay na ninyo, maayo mga bata! Mga bata, atong nakatunan karon ang pagsulat sa linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Pinaagi sa pagsubay sa mga putol-putol nga linya. Karong higayuna, oras na para ipahanas pa nato ang atong nakatunan. Pinaagi sa pagbuhat sa mga buluhaton na hinatag sa inyong mga magtutudlo. Mao kini ang una ninyong buhaton. Subaya ang putol-putol nga linyang pahirig nga patuo o right slant line. Sunda ang araw sa pagsubay niini. Akong usbon mga bata, subaya ang putol-putol nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Sunda ang araw sa pagsubay niini. Akong usbon sa makausa mga bata, subaya ang mga putol-putol nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Sunda ang araw sa pagsubay niini. Alang sa dugang pagkatun, kopyaha ang mga tulid nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Akong usbon mga bata, kopyaha ang mga tulid nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Akong usbon sa makausa mga bata, Kopyaha ang mga tulid nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Mga bata, nahuman na ang atong klase sa kindergarten karong adlaw. Hangtod sa sunod higayon, daghang salamat! Bye-bye!
This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. Come and learn to speak and write of the language of the world. Learn to understand the language of the world. This is the way we speak. This is the way we read. This is the way we write. This is the English way. This is the way we write. This is the English way. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Ipipina, 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 ipipina.
Kumusta mga bata? Welcome sa atong klase sa kindergarten. Dini gihapon kita magklase sa tulungaan sa telebisyon o sa radyo. Gahapon atong nakatunan ang bahin sa tulid nga linyang pahigda o horizontal line. Karong buntaga, magkat-on kita kung unsaon pagsulat ang pahirig patuo nga linya o right slant line pinaagi sa pagsulbay sa mga putol-putol nga linya. Mga bata, tan-awa ko ninyo kung unsaon ako paghimo sa linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Tan-awa ko mga bata, magsulat ko sa hangin gamit ang akong tudlo. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Akong usbon mga bata. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Akong usbon sa makausa mga bata. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Karon mga bata, tan-awa kini nga hulagway sa putol-putol nga linya. Ako kining supayon gamit ang lapis. Aron mahimo kining linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Gikan sa taas, sa ubos. Akong usbon mga bata. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Akong usbon sa makausa mga bata. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Karon mga bata, magdungan ta sa paghimo sa linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line sa hangin gamit ang atong mga tudlo. Nasabtan mga bata?
Yes, teacher!
Okay, ready? Go! Ikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Ikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Ikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Kini silver slant line. Karon mga bata, kamo na usab ang maghimo sa pagsubay sa mga putol-putol nga linya aron makasulat o makaporma sa linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Tan-awa ang inyong practice worksheets mga bata. Anaa diha ang sinulat nga putol-putol nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Sige mga bata, gamit ang iyong lapis. Subaya ka na aron maporma ang linya nga pahirig patuo o right slant line. Sige, sugdi na. Gikan sa taas, padulong sa ubos. Nasubay na ninyo mga bata? Kung nasubay na ninyo, maayo mga bata! Mga bata, atong nakatunan karon ang pagsulat sa linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Pinaagi sa pagsubay sa mga putol-putol nga linya. Karong higayuna, oras na para ipahanas pa nato ang atong nakatunan. Pinaagi sa pagbuhat sa mga buluhaton na hinatag sa inyong mga magtutudlo. Mao kini ang una ninyong buhaton. Subaya ang putol-putol nga linyang pahirig nga patuo o right slant line. Sunda ang araw sa pagsubay niini. Akong usbon mga bata, subaya ang putol-putol nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Sunda ang araw sa pagsubay niini. Akong usbon sa makausa mga bata, subaya ang mga putol-putol nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Sunda ang araw sa pagsubay niini. Alang sa dugang pagkaton, kopyaha ang mga tulid nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Akong usbon mga bata, kopyaha ang mga tulid nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Akong usbon sa makausa mga bata, Kopyaha ang mga tulid nga linyang pahirig patuo o right slant line. Mga bata, nahuman na ang atong klase sa kindergarten karong adlaw. Hangtod sa sunod higayon, daghang salamat! Bye-bye!
Tanggub City, simply home. Tanggub City, simply home. This is our place, Tanggub City. There is so much you can see. A paradise from nature's best. It's a beauty among the rest. Rich in culture and history, it has a colorful festivity. One people in harmony, one people in great revelry. Tanggub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's a legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Tanggub City, simply home. 25 years of cultural fame, endless beauty in silver years. Magical symbols every Christmas, people dance in all festivals. Golden years of prosperity, we are proud of this great city. One people, one destiny. Tanggub City is a place to be. Tanggub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's a legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Gearing for progress and development. People remain focused to their commitment. Preserving the tradition of good values in tune. Tanggub City, simply call our home. Tanggub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's a legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Brighter future, Tanggub City, simply home. Tanggub City, simply home. Tanggub
Kahit maraming problema, chill ka lang, don't stop sa pag-eskwela. Kabataan, pag-asa ng ating bayan. Ikaw, ako, tayong lahat ay magtutulungan. Ihanda na ang pisara, upuan at mga mesa. Ang pag-aaral ay simulan na. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama. Abutin ang mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap. Edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa, maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw ng sabay-sabay, isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay.
Kahit maraming problema, chill ka lang, don't stop sa pag-eskwela. Kabataan, pag-asa ng ating bayan, ikaw, ako, tayong lahat ay magtutulungan. Ihanda na ang pisara, upuan at mga mesa, ang pag-aaral ay simulan na. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama, abutin ng mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap, edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa, maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw ng sabay-sabay, isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama, abutin ng mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap, edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa, maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw ng sabay-sabay, isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay. Halina.
Edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, ang kailangan ng mundo upang matutong pakikipagkapwa-tao, mabuti ang loob at maginoo. Mag-aral na tayo ng ESP, mag-aral na tayo ng ESP.
Malipayong pagkaton! Kagahapon, inyong nakatunan ang color brown. Ug karong adlaw, magkatunaw sa kitaglain pa nga color. Karon mga bata, nakita ba ninyo ang gisuot ng teacher? Oh,
Kini akong gisuot. Kabalo ba mo unsay color niini? Sakto ka. Color pink. So karong adlaw, magkaton kita og color pink. Ikaw daw, B? Pink. Very good. Karon mga bata, lantawan ninyo ang uniform ni Teacher Charlene. Unsay color niini? Color pink. Very good. Kani mga bata, mukhaon ba kakiniginiyon ani? O lami kaayo ni mga bata. Aduna usab ang makaon nga flavor nga inani. Unsa man kini? Sakto ka, strawberry. Unsa may color sa strawberry? Very good. Color pink. Karon mga bata, adunay lain pa mga butang nga color pink. Akong ipakita sa inyo. Pero, maglingkod sa daog tarong B, o maminaw og tarong. Kay unyan taod-taod, aduna kamoy buluhaton nga dapat ipasa ni teacher. Magsugid na kita mga bata. Mga bata, mao ka na mga hulagway nga color pink. Mao kini ang mga butang nga color pink. Atong tagsa-tagsa. Unsa ka na? Usa ka? Bag. Unsay color sa bag? Color pink. So unsa ka na? Pink nga bag. Ikaw daw, B? Pink nga bag. Very good. Kana unsa na? Correct. Dress or sanina. Unsay color sa sanina? Color pink. So unsa ka na? Pink nga sanina. Correct. Kana mga bata, unsa na? Unsa ka? Lipstick. Unsay color sa lipstick? Color pink. So unsa ka na? Pink nga lipstick. Very good. Kana unsa na? Usa ka baboy. Unsay color sa baboy? Color pink. So unsa ka na mga bata? Pink nga baboy. Ikaw daw, B? Pink nga baboy. Kana, unsa na? Wow, usa ka gwapa kayo nga laso. Or sa English, ribbon. Unsa na? Laso. Unsay color sa laso? Color pink. So unsa ka na? Pink nga laso. Correct. So mao ka na ang mga butang nga color pink. Bag, lipstick, sanina, laso o baboy. Unsay color ana mga bata? Color pink. Ikaw daw, B? Pink. Very good. Karon mga bata, it's activity time. Ang inyong buhat, kahoni ang mga hulagway nga color pink. Ansa na? Usa ka bibi. O lipstick. Asa man ana ang color pink? Sige daw, B. Kahuni daw, B. Very good. Ang lipstick. Pink ang lipstick. Very good. Kana, unsa na? Usa ka laso. Og alibangbang. Asa man ana ang color pink? Ang laso or ang alibangbang? Kahuni daw, B. Very good. Ang laso. Maayo. Kana mga bata. Sanina og Car. Asa man ana ang color pink? Ang sanina or ang car? Correct! Ang sanina. Kana. Unsa na? Sakto ka, payong. Og bag. Asa man ana ang color pink? Ang payong or ang bag? Sige, kahuni daw, be. Very good. Ang bag. Pink ang bag. Kana mga bata. Unsa man kana? Sakto, baboy. Og kalo. Asa man ana ang color pink? Sige daw, be. Kahuni daw, be. Sakto ka. Ang baboy. Pink ang baboy. Very good na kaayo. Wow, maayo na kaayo. So karong adlaw mga bata, inyong nakatunan ang color pink. Magkita-kita na usab kita sa sunod sa malipayong pagkaton. Bye-bye! See you next time! Bye-bye! Goodbye! Bye-bye, bye-bye, goodbye! Goodbye!
Mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Dali na mag-science na kita, mag-observe o mag-discover ta, living things o non-living things, mga stars o mga planeta. Mga stars o mga planeta, mga stars o mga planeta.
welcome na usab sa malipayong pagkaton. Kagahapon inyo nakatunan ang color brown. Ug karong adlaw magkat-on na usab kita glain pa nga color. Karon mga bata, nakita ba ninyo ang gisuot ng teacher? Oh, kini akong gisuot. Kabalo ba mo unsay color niini? Sakto ka! Color pink. So karong adlaw, magkat-on kita og color pink. Ikaw daw, B? Pink. Very good! Karon mga bata, lantawan ninyo ang uniform ni Teacher Charlene. Unsay color niini? Color pink. Very good. Kani mga bata, mukhaon ba kakinig inyon ani? O lami kaayo ni mga bata. Aduna usab ang makaon nga flavor nga inani. Unsa man kini? Sakto ka, strawberry. Unsa may color sa strawberry? Very good. Color pink. Karon mga bata, adunay lain pa mga butang nga color pink. Akong ipakita sa inyo. Pero, maglingkod sa daog tarong B, o maminaw og tarong. Kay unyan taod-taod, aduna kamoy buluhaton nga dapat ipasa ni teacher. Magsugid na kita mga bata. Mga bata, mao ka na mga hulagway nga color pink. Mao kini ang mga butang nga color pink. Atong tagsa-tagsa. Unsa ka na? Usa ka? Bag. Unsay color sa bag? Color pink. So unsa ka na? Pink nga bag. Ikaw daw, B? Pink nga bag. Very good. Kana, unsa na? Correct. Dress or sanina. Unsay color sa sanina? Color pink. So unsa ka na? Pink nga sanina. Correct. Kana mga bata, unsa na? Unsa ka? Lipstick. Unsay color sa lipstick? Color pink. So unsa ka na? Pink nga lipstick. Very good. Kana, unsa na? Usa ka baboy. Unsay color sa baboy? Color pink. So unsa ka na mga bata? Pink nga baboy. Ikaw daw, B? Pink nga baboy. Kana, unsa na? Wow, usa ka gwapa kayo nga laso. Or sa English, ribbon. Unsa na? Laso. Unsay color sa laso? Color pink. So unsa ka na? Pink nga laso. Correct. So mao ka na ang mga butang nga color pink. Bag, lipstick, sanina, laso o baboy. Unsay color ana mga bata? Color pink. Ikaw daw, B? Pink. Very good. Karang mga bata, it's activity time. Ang inyong buhat, kahoni ang mga hulagway nga color pink. Unsa na? Usa ka bibi. Og lipstick. Asa man ana ang color pink? Sige daw, B. Kahuni daw, B. Very good. Ang lipstick. Pink ang lipstick. Very good. Kana, unsa na? Usa ka laso. Og alibangbang. Asa man ana ang color pink? Ang laso or ang alibangbang? Kahuni dobe? Very good. Ang laso. Maayo. Kana mga bata. Sanina og car. Asa man ana ang color pink? Ang sanina or ang car? Correct. Ang sanina. Kana. Asa unsa na? Sakto ka, payong. Og bag. Asa man ana ang color pink? Ang payong or ang bag? Sige, kahuni daw, be? Very good. Ang bag. Pink ang bag. Kana mga bata. Unsa man kana? Sakto, baboy. Og kalo. Asa man ana ang color pink? Sige daw, be. Kahuni daw, be. Sakto ka. Ang baboy. Pink ang baboy. Very good na kaayo. Wow, maayo na kaayo. So karong adlaw mga bata, inyong nakatunan ang color pink. Magkita-kita na usab kita sa sunod sa malipayong pagkaton. Bye-bye! See you next time! Bye-bye! Goodbye! Bye-bye, bye-bye, goodbye! Goodbye!
Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Alamin ang teknolohiya sa agrikultura at pangkabuhayan upang umunlad ang ating bayan sagana sa likas na yaman. Halika na mag-ipipina, ipipina, ipipina. Halika na, mag-aral na. Ipipina, 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 ipipina.
Kahit maraming problema, chill ka lang, don't stop sa pag-eskwela. Kabataan, pag-asa ng ating bayan. Ikaw, ako, tayong lahat ay magtutulungan. Ihanda na ang pisara, upuan at mga mesa. Ang pag-aaral ay simulan na. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama. Abutin ang mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap. Edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa. Maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw na sabay-sabay. Isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay.
ka lang, don't stop sa pag-eskwela. Kabataan, pag-asa ng ating bayan. Ikaw, ako, tayong lahat ay magtutulungan. Ihanda na ang pisara, upuan at mga mesa. Ang pag-aaral ay simulan na. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama. Abutin ng mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap. Edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa. Maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw ng sabay-sabay. Isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama. Abutin ng mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap. Edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa. Maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw ng sabay-sabay. Isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay. Halina.
Tanggub City, simply home. Tanggub City, simply home. This is our place, Tanggub City. There is so much you can see. A paradise from nature's best. It's a beauty among the rest. Rich in culture and history, it has a colorful festivity. One people in harmony, one people in great revelry. Tanggub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's a legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Tanggub City, simply home. 25 years of cultural fame, endless beauty in silver years. Magical symbols every Christmas, people dance in all festivals. Golden years of prosperity, we are proud of this great city. One people, one destiny. Tanggub City is a place to be. Tanggub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's a legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Gearing for progress and development. People remain focused to their commitment. Preserving the tradition of good values into Tanggub City, simply call our home. Tanggub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's a legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Brighter future, Tanggub City, simply home. Tanggub City, simply home.
so sad. The tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now. Don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through. 'Cause I've seen the dark side too. When the night falls on you, you don't know what to do. Nothing you confess can make me love you less. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. So if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come on and talk to me now. Hey, what you got to hide? I get angry too. Well, I'm a lot like you. When you're standing at the crossroads and don't know which path to choose, let me come along. 'Cause even if you're wrong, I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. And when the night falls on you, baby, you're feeling all alone. You won't be on your own. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you.
magagandang tanawin, masarap pasyalan, iba't ibang kulturang matutunan. Masasarap na pagkain matitikman sa paglalakbay at pamamasyal sa mga magagandang lugar sa Pilipinas. Yan, tapos na ang proyekto kong pang-turismo. Ay, ang ganda talagang pagmasdan ng Taal Volcano. Lalo na ang Taal Lake. Balang araw, mapupuntahan rin kita. You are on top of my bucket lists. With or without plans.
세상의 소리 질러 I love you 너 사랑한다고 내 여자가 되어달라고 눈부셔 always you're my star 내가 너 지켜줄게.
Yes? Ano yun? Leslie ng buhay ko?
Carrie, my darling! Matutuwa kasi babalita ko. Promise! May spoken word competition sa school sa susunod na linggo. Sali tayo, please!
Ay, naku! Alam mo namang mahihayin ako, Les. Kaya kong sumulat ng tula, pero yung ibahagi ko sa harap ng maraming tao, no way. No, no, no. Ayoko. Pass.
OMG! Bakit ang tagal kong nagising sa alarm? May mangrove planting pala ngayon. Naku! Walang SK chairman na late sa livelihood program ng gobyerno.
O Angela, dito pala ang punta mo. Para ba yan sa mangrove planting?
Opo, Manggusyon. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9.50. Naku, Manggusyon, pasensya talaga. Naiwan ko kasi yung isang pouch ko sa lamesa. 9.50 lang po ito. Manggusyon, bawi na lang ako sa susunod, ha?
Aba, Angge. Angela, ang bata ka. Hindi ka naman iba sa akin, ha. Huwag mo nang intindihin yun.
Ako salamat talaga, Manggusyon.
Baba ka na.
Okay, break muna tayo guys. Dahil may inihandang itlog ang Barangay Council para sa ating lahat.
Ate Angela!
Oh, Rafaela.
Ate Angela!
Ano ba yun?
Patulong naman po!
Ano yan?
Nahihirapan po kasi ako matandaan yung internal structure ng Earth.
Ah, madali lang yan, Rafaela. Ang shell ng itlog ay may hahalin tulad natin sa crust. At ang puting bahagi naman ng itlog ay ang mantle. Sarap, di ba? Nakikita mo to. Ang yelong bahagi naman ng itlog ay ang Earth's core, or ang pinakagitna na bahagi ng Earth.
The best ka talaga, Ate Angela!
Walang anuman yun, Rafaela. Natutuwa ako dahil pinapahalagahan mo ang natatanging kayamanang may bibigay ng mga magulang mo. Sali ka pa sa susunod na linggo, ha? May mga community services pa tayong gagawin. Tutulong pa tayo sa mga livelihood programs. Naku, Rafaela, magugustuhan mo to dahil gagawa rin tayo ng basket kagaya nito at saranggola o kite. Pupuntahan rin natin ang pamayanan kung saan carving naman ang nakasanayang gawin nila kagaya nito.
Ang ganda! May bumibili pa po ba ng kite, Ate Angela?
Oo naman, may mga annual tourism kite festival sa bansa. Last year nga, nakapunta ako sa Sipalay, Negros Occidental, Dumaguete City, at Suluk, Davao del Sur, kung saan itinuro namin sa mga kabataang kagaya mo ang kahalagahan ng pangangalaga sa ating kapaligiran. Alam mo naman na lahat tayo ay apektado sa climate change. Kaya, maging parte rin tayo sa solusyon nito. Hindi ka lang bata dahil ikaw ay may kakayahang baguhin ang sarili para mas maging responsable. Kagaya ko, mas naging responsable ako simula nung sumali ako sa mga lipunang sibil na kung saan mas pinapahalagahan nila ang kabutihang panlahat kaysa sa sariling interes.
Ang tatay ko, ate, ay magsasaka. Sabi niya, ang pangunahing kabuhayan doon sa amin ay ang pagsasaka ng palay. Kahit mahirap pa noon ang irigasyon. Pero ngayon ay may sapat ng irigasyon doon sa amin.
Oh,
Till next time po, tumatawag na po kasi si nanay.
see you next week, Rafaela, at sa susunod pang linggo. Dahil may medical mission pa tayo. Disseminate information of our free dental checkup.
Sige po!
Bye!
Rafaela, anak! Natutuyo na tong mga halaman. Tama na muna yung pagbabike mo upang madiligan ito.
Opo, Nay! Andyan na po!
Patuloy niyong pagandahin ang tahanan namin, ha?
Anak, tikman mo muna tong appetizer na ginawa ko kung papasaba sa panlasa mo.
Alam mo na, magsusupply na ako ng hot and cold appetizer sa resto bar na pinagtatrabahuan ng Kuya Granger mo.
Ah, Nay, ano po bang trabaho ni Kuya Granger?
Sa pagkakaalam ko, isang desk control supervisor ang Kuya Granger mo. And one of his functions and rules is to listen to the special request of guests.
Ang galing naman ni Kuya, Nay. Nay, matanong ko nga lang, nilalagyan ba yun ng maraming asin ng atsara?
Katamtaman lang, anak.
Nay, parang may napapansin ako sa inyo. Bigay ni tatay ang silver na rilon niya, no?
Oo nga, anak. Kung kailan nasa dapit hapon na kami ng tatay nyo, saka pa nakaisip ng pasurpresa.
Wow! Kari, alas stress na. Halika na, magdasal na tayo. Opo. Ikaw na ang mauna. Opo. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You died, Jesus, but the source of life flowed out for souls, and the ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. O fountain of life, immeasurable divine mercy, cover the whole world and empty yourself out upon us.
Thank you for picking up the phone. I need your help, Bess. May binili kasi ako online na ibang-iba sa actual product na hawak ko ngayon. Matingkad kasi sa picture, faded naman pala. Anong gagawin ko? Saka yung brand, mali yung spelling, and yung presyo, halos katumbas lang sa original.
Pwede kang magreklamo sa seller niyan, Bess. May karapatan tayong mamimili, no? Ayon nga sa Republic Act 7394 or sa Consumer Act of the Philippines.
Salamat, Bess, ha? Pinalakas mo loob ko. Hindi na ako manghihinaya na i-confront ang seller.
Push mo yan. Mahirap ang buhay, no? As a matter of fact, many suffer from overpopulation and poverty, which resulted to high unemployment rate. Also, prioritize yung needs kesa sa wants, Bessie. Huwag mag-order kung hindi kinakailangan. And lastly, know your priorities. Ika nga nila, ang bawat butil ay ginto.
O siya, sige. Salamat uli, ha? Pag-aaralan ko pa kasi yung mga ambag ng kabihasnan sa Egypt at yung mga dinastiya sa sinaunang kabihasnan ng China.
Okay, bye!
Bye! May aaminin ako sa iyo bukas. Puntahan kita dyan. Okay? Bye! Huhulaan ko. Magbe-bake ka, no?
Yes, may nag-order kasi sa akin.
Ang laki na siguro na nga kinikita mo sa pagiging negosyante mo, no? If I were to graph it, ganito siguro yun. For the first week, siguro 500 pesos yung kinikita mo, no? For the second week, siguro 1,000. And the third week, mga nasa 1,500 na. Habang tumatagal, papalaki talagang kita mo.
Puro kakalukuhan. Tikman mo na lang kaya to.
Nahiya naman ako. Tingnan mo, sa garnishing pa lang. Pero, siguro, pagpapatuloy mo to, pagluluto mo, successful ka.
Talaga.
Oo. Pero maiba tayo, ah. I signed you up for the spoken poetry. Both of us, actually. English at Filipino ang tatanggapin nilang mga pyesa.
Ikaw na lang kayong mag-deliver sa phone ko.
May nagawa na akong tula. And, best in English ka. I know you can deliver it better. Ay, teka ha. Sasagutin ko na. Okay.
Sawadika! Hello, ate.
Sawadika! Penyang Raibang?
May nasin ako sa'yo. Nakita mo ba? Tama ba yung sagot ko, ate?
Yes, Kim. Tama yung sagot mo.
Salamat, Ate Les. Okay, last na lang pala. Perfect square ang 25, di ba?
Yes! Yesterday once more. Bye!
James goes to the rim once again, lays it up and in, and he's in double those two guys are exceptionally talented. I mean, like you always say, like top 5.
Back to James. James goes inside, the flush and the foul. 10 assists. The Lakers 127 away from the title. Final seconds here in this NBA season. The respect from those two.
Idol talaga si LeBron James, no? Magaling naman talaga kasi siya. Siya nga ang laging MVP, di ba?
Talo nga yung team ko. Pero in fairness, no, mahigpit yung naging laro.
Oo nga, napansin mo ba yung simula ng laro? Di ba umalma yung coach sa desisyon ng referee?
Oo nga, no. Pero in fairness sa referee, ha, nanindigan talaga siya sa kanyang desisyon. Ganyan talaga pag mahigpit ang laro. Oo.
Beautiful disaster. Broken, she was made whole. Brand new creation and afraid of the fall. Blown, she found her peace, like toast bamboo still in place. Burnt, she burst with true light, too bright like stars in twilight. Beaten by the surging waves, she dares to be brave. Perfectly imperfect, consistently inconsistent, she is both heaven and hell, history no one can tell. But like a lake in all its glory, after an explosion telling a story, she is a constant reminder beauty exists after a commotion. A dose of laughter, worthy of the here and after, my happily ever after. She is indeed a beautiful disaster.
Sa hinahangaan kong marikit na manunulat. Magandang gabi sa dilag na nakabibighani ang ganda. Lubos akong natutuwa nang mapakinggan ko ang iyong makapagbagbag damdamin na tula. Sa umpisa ako'y napaisip, teka lang, sino ba ang nasa likod nitong napakahiwagang obra? Di tuloy mapigil ng puso ko ang kagustuhang ikaw ay aking makilala. Malaman ang totoong kwento sa tulang nag-uumapaw ng damdaming di ko mawari. Wow! Siguro ang iba ay nanghina na dulot ng pait at kabiguan sa buhay. Subalit ikaw ay bukod tangit tunay ngang kahanga-hanga. Sa halip na malugmok, ikaw ay nanindigan at patuloy na lumalaban. Inihalin tulad mo ang iyong sarili sa Taal Lake, isang makapigil hiningang tanawin na nabuo mula sa nakapanghingilabot na pagsabog ng bulkan. Sino nga ba ang mag-aakala? Tama ka, totoong pagkatapos ng unos ay may bagong pag-asa at ang magandang buhay ay tiyak na darating. Hay, patuloy ka sanang maging inspirasyon sa iyong mga mambabasa at tagapakinig. Hangad ko ang ating nalalapit na pagkikita. Maraming salamat sa dala mong inspirasyon, dulot ng kakaiba mong kwentong nais kong mas maintindihan pa. Lubos na humahanga, Khalid.
세상의 소리 질러 I love you 너 사랑한다고 내 여자가 되어달라고 눈부셔 always you're my star 내가 너 지켜줄게 세상의 소리 질러 I love you 너 사랑한다고 내 여자가 되어달라고 눈부셔 always
Mathematics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang TANGKUB. We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin. Now, let's play back the scene where Angela took a motorcycle ride with Mango Sean to Maloro for mangrove planting.
O Angela, dito pala ang punta mo. Para ba yan sa mangrove planting?
Opo, Manggusyon. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9.50. Naku, Manggusyon, pasensya talaga. Naiwan ko kasi yung isang pouch ko sa lamesa. 9.50 lang po ito. Manggusyon, bawi na lang ako sa susunod, ha?
Aba, Angge. Angela, ang bata ka. Hindi ka naman iba sa akin, ha? Huwag mo nang intindihin yun.
Ako, salamat talaga, Manggusyon.
Baba ka na.
Again, how much did Angela pay to Mangushon as fare? Yes, it is 9 pesos and 50 centavos. The 9 pesos and 50 centavos or 9.5 denotes a decimal number. As what you have learned, a decimal number can be defined as a number whose whole number part and the fractional part are separated using decimal point. The dot in a decimal number is called a decimal point. The digits following the decimal point show a value smaller than 1. In the decimal number 9.5, 9 is the whole number part, and 5 is the fractional part. They are separated by a decimal point. The number 9 is the ones position, while 5 is on the tenths position. This decimal can be read as 9.5 or 9 and 5/10. Recall that the decimal 9.5 is a rational number since it can be converted into fraction, which is 19 halves or 19 over 2. Now, just like integers and fractions, we can also add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. Now learners, relax and stay tuned. For today, we will tackle another lesson, and that is operations of decimals. Let's start with addition of decimals. Let us have examples. Example number 1. Add 2.5 and 3.14. To add decimals, we follow the following steps. Step 1. Align the given decimals according to their corresponding place values. If the numbers don't have the same number of decimal places, add 0 to help you align numbers. Step 2. Add the decimal numbers just like whole numbers. Adding numbers from right to left, we now have 0 plus 4 is equal to 4. 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Don't forget to affix the decimal point. We now have 2.50 plus 3.14 is equal to 5.64. Now learners, it's your turn to try. Add 5.84 and 3.81. What's the sum? Correct! The sum is 9.65 or 9 and 65 hundredths. How did we get the answer? Look at this solution. 5.84 plus 3.81. Step 1. We are going to align the given decimals according to their corresponding place values. We now have, notice that the decimal point must also be aligned. Step 2. Add the decimal numbers just like adding whole numbers. 4 plus 1 is 5. 8 plus 8 is 16. Write 6, carry 1. 5 plus 3 is 8. Plus 1, that is 9. We now have the final answer. Therefore, 5.84 plus 3.81 is equal to 9.65 or 9 and 65 hundredths. Easy, right? Now, how about subtracting decimals? What are the steps to follow? Here are some examples. Example number 1. Subtract 65.03 by 26.732. To subtract decimals, perform the following steps. Step 1. Align the given decimals according to their place values. Step 2. Subtract the decimal numbers just like whole numbers. Subtracting numbers from right to left, we now have 0 minus 2 cannot be. Therefore, we have to borrow tens from 3. 3 now becomes 2 and 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 2 is equal to 8. Now 2 minus 3 cannot be. Therefore, we have to borrow tens from 5 next to 0 since we cannot borrow tens from 0. 5 now becomes 4, then 0 becomes 10. Borrowing another tens, 10 becomes 9, and 2 now becomes 12. 12 minus 3 is equal to 9. 9 minus 7 is equal to 2. 4 minus 6 cannot be. We borrow now tens from 6, then 6 becomes 5, and 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 6 is equal to 8. 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. Don't forget to affix the decimal point. Therefore, 65.030 minus 26.732 is equal to 38.298. Now learners, it's your turn to try. Subtract this. What's the difference? Correct! The answer is 40. Look at this solution. 141.5 minus 101.5. First, align the given decimals according to their place values. We now have, next step, we are going to subtract the decimal numbers just like subtracting whole numbers. We now have 5 minus 5 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. And 1 minus 1 is 0. Don't forget to affix the decimal point. We now have the final answer, which is 40. Therefore, 141.5 minus 101.5 is equal to 40. Is it clear? Now learners, let's proceed to multiplication of decimals. Example number 1. Multiply 3.24 by 0.56. To multiply decimals, we follow these steps. Step 1. Arrange the decimal numbers in column, just like this. Step 2. Multiply the decimal numbers just like multiplying whole numbers. Then count the total number of decimal places and show it in the product. 3.24 times 0.56 is equal to, multiplying numbers from right to left, we now have 6 times 4 is equal to 24. Bring down 4, carry 2. 6 times 2 is equal to 12. Adding 2, we now have 14. Bring down 4, carry 1. 6 times 3 is equal to 18. Plus 1, we now have 19. Next, we multiply 5 by 4. 5 times 4 is equal to 20. Bring down 0, carry 2. 5 times 2 is equal to 10. Adding 2, we now have 12. Bring down 2, carry 1. 5 times 3 is equal to 15. Adding 1, we now have 16. Next row, we now have 0 times 4 is equal to 0. 0 times 2 is equal to 0. 0 times 3 is equal to 0. Now, let's add the numbers. Bring down 4. 4 plus 0 is equal to 4. 9 plus 2 is equal to 11. Bring down 1, carry 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. 2 plus 6 is equal to 8. Next, 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. Since 3.24 has 2 decimal places and 0.56 has 2 decimal places, therefore, the product has 4 decimal places. Again, 3.24 multiplied by 0.56 is equal to 1.8144. Now, how about this problem? What's the product? Correct! The product is 53.750 or 53 and 750 thousandths. How did we get the product? Now, look at this solution. 6.25 times 8.6. First, arrange the decimal numbers in column. Second, multiply the decimal numbers just like multiplying whole numbers. Then, count the total number of decimal places and show it in the product. We now have 6 times 5 is 30. Write 0, carry 3. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 3, that's 15. Write 5, carry 1. 6 times 6 is 36. Add 1, that's 37. Let's proceed to 8. 8 times 5 is 40. Write 0, carry 4. 8 times 2 is 16. Add 4, that's 20. Write 0, carry 2. 8 times 6 is 48. Plus 2, that's 50. Now, let's add. Bring down 0. 5 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 0 is 7. 3 plus 0 is 3. Bring down 5. Now, since 6.25 has 2 decimal places and 8.6 has 1 decimal place, therefore, the product must have 3 decimal places. So, 6.25 times 8.6 is equal to 53.750. Easy, right? Now, let us proceed to division of decimals. Let's have examples. Example number 1. What is 3.666 divided by 23.5? To divide decimals, we follow the following steps. Step 1. Multiply both the divisor and the dividend by the same multiple to make the divisor a whole number. Note that the multiple to be multiplied is based on the last decimal place of the divisor. Now our dividend is 3.666. Our divisor is 23.5. Since the decimal place of the divisor ends in the tenths place, then the multiple to be multiplied in both dividend and divisor is 10. We now have 3.666 times 10 is equal to 36.66. Our divisor becomes 23.5 times 10 equals 235. Step 2. Divide just like in dividing whole number and place the decimal point in the quotient directly above the decimal point in the dividend. We now have 366 divided by 235 is equal to 1. 1 times 235 is equal to 235. Now let's subtract. 366 minus 235 is equal to 131. We now bring down 6. Repeating the same process, we now have 1,316 divided by 235 is equal to 5. 5 times 235 is equal to 1,175. Subtract 1,316 minus 1,175 is equal to 141. Adding 0, we now have 1,410 divided by 235 is equal to 6. 6 times 235 is equal to 1,410. 1,410 minus 1,410 is equal to 0. Therefore, 36.66 divided by 235 is equal to 0.156. Now, divide this. What's the quotient? Correct. The answer is 78.9. Look at this solution. 99.414 divided by 1.26. Step 1. Multiply both the divisor and the dividend by the same multiple to make the divisor a whole number. Since the decimal place of the divisor 1.26 ends in the hundredths place, then the multiple to be multiplied in both dividend and divisor is 100. Now, the dividend 99.414 times 100 is equal to 9,941.4, and the divisor 1.26 times 100 is equal to 126. Step 2. Divide just like in dividing whole number and put the decimal point in the quotient directly above the decimal point in the dividend. We now have 9,941.4 divided by 126. Now, 994 divided by 126 is 7. 7 times 126 is equal to 882. Let's subtract. 994 minus 882 is equal to 112. Bring down 1. We now have 1,121. 1,121 divided by 126 is 8. 8 times 126 is equal to 1,008. Subtract. 1,121 minus 1,008 is 113. Bring down 4. We now have 1,134. 1,134 divided by 126 is 9. 9 times 126 is 1,134. Then subtract. 1,134 minus 1,134 is 0. Therefore, 9,941.4 divided by 126, or 99.414 divided by 1.26 is equal to 78.9. Always remember that in dividing numbers, you can check your answer by multiplying the divisor and the quotient. If the product is the dividend, then your quotient or your answer is correct. Complicated? No. Now, since you know already how to perform operations of decimals, it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activities. Let us read the directions. Activity A. Find me. Let's find out sum and difference of decimals. Let's do it this way. Add and subtract the following decimals: Second, answers are on the box but you need to show your solutions. Activity B. Choose me. Let's find out. Product and quotient of decimals. Let's do it this way. First, multiply or divide the following decimals. Next, answers are on the box, but you need to show your solutions. Just take your time in answering the activities. Now, if you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheets. To end, always remember that life is like math. In this time of crisis, we must add a little sacrifice. Subtract anger and hatred buried in our hearts. And multiply and divide the blessings that we have for everyone to share. Grade 8 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 8 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone.
Inihahandog ng Dibisyon ng Tangkub City ang iba't ibang kwento, aral, at kaalaman habang kayo ay nasa inyong mga tahanan. TV-based instruction.
Hello! Welcome back mga grade 8 mathematics. Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang Tangkub. We learn all things, ang saya. Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin. Let's play back the scene where Carrie was baking with Leslie.
Huhulaan ko. Magbe-bake ka, no?
Yes, may nag-order kasi sa akin.
Ang laki na siguro na nga kinikita mo sa pagiging negosyante mo, no? If I were to graph it, ganito siguro yun. For the first week, siguro 500 pesos yung kinikita mo, no? For the second week, siguro 1,000. And the third week, mga nasa 1,500 na. Habang tumatagal, papalaki talagang kita mo.
Puro kakalokohan. Tikman mo na lang kaya to.
Leslie graphed the income of Carrie from baking. Let us observe again the graph. Correct. It forms a straight line. And we have learned already that any graph that forms a straight line is a graph of a linear equation. If you have noticed, Leslie used pairs of variables. There are many ways to graph linear equations. We have using 2 points, using x and y intercepts, using slope and y-intercept, and using slope and a point of a line. Last episode 6, you have learned already how to graph a linear equation using 2 points. Now learners, clear your thoughts and get ready, for we will tackle the 3 remaining methods in graphing linear equations. These are using x and y intercepts, the slope and y-intercept, and using the slope and the point of a line. Again, graph of linear equation is very effective for representing relationship between things that change at a constant rate. This next method of graphing makes use of x and y intercepts. As a review, the x-intercept is called the abscissa of the coordinates of the point A0, where the graph intersects the x-axis, while the y-intercept is the ordinate of the coordinates of the point 0B, where the graph intersects the y-axis. Now, let us graph linear equations in 2 variables using the x-intercept and y-intercept. Here are the steps. Steps in graphing linear equations in 2 variables using x and y intercepts. First, solve for y-intercept by letting x equal 0 to have a point 0B. Second, solve for x-intercept by letting y equal 0 to have a point A0. Third, plot the 2 points in the rectangular coordinate system. Fourth, connect the 2 points to form a straight line. Now, let us have an example. Graph the linear equation in 2 variables 2x minus y equals 4 using the x-intercept and y-intercept. Solve for y by letting x equal to 0 to have a point 0B. We now have 2x minus y equals 4. Substituting the value of x, which is 0, we now have 2 times 0 minus y equals 4. 2 times 0 is equal to 0. We now have negative y equals 4. Making y into positive, we multiply both sides of the equation by negative 1. Negative times negative is equal to positive. So we now have y is equal to negative 4. Therefore, our point is 0, negative 4. Second step. Solve for x by letting y equal to 0 to have a point A0. We now have 2x minus y equals 4. Substituting the value of y, which is equal to 0, we now have 2x minus 0 equals 4. Then this would be equal to 2x equals 4. To solve for x, using the MPE, we multiply both sides of the equation by 1/2. 1/2 times 2 is equal to 1. 4 times 1/2 is equal to 2. We now have x is equal to 2. Therefore, our second point is 2, 0. Third step. We plot the points in the rectangular coordinate system. This is the point 2, 0. This is also the point 0, negative 4. Step 4. Connect the 2 points. We now form a straight line. Therefore, this graph shows the graph of the linear equation 2x minus y equals 4 using x and y intercepts. Do you get it? Now, we will proceed to our next method of graphing linear equations. On our previous episode, you have learned that the standard form of linear equation in 2 variables is ax plus by equals c. And it can be written into its slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Now, we will use this knowledge in graphing linear equation using the next method. This is the slope and y-intercept.
Now, here are the steps in graphing linear equation using slope and y-intercept. First, we write the equation in the slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b. Second, identify the slope m and the y-intercept or b. Third, plot the point 0b in the rectangular coordinate system. Next, from that point 0b, plot another point using the slope, which is equal to rise over run. A third point is used for checking. And lastly, connect the points to form a straight line.
Let us have an example. Graph the linear equation in two variables, 4x plus 5y equals 20, using the slope and y-intercept. First, we are going to write the equation into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. The given equation is 4x plus 5y equals 20. Now, applying the addition property of equality, we are going to add negative 4x to both sides of the equation. We now have 4x plus 5y plus negative 4x is equal to 20 plus negative 4x. Then, 4x plus negative 4x is equal to 0. So, the remaining term in the left side of the equation is 5y. On the right side of the equation, we have 20 plus negative 4x. It is also the same as negative 4x plus 20, since we are going to write the x term first before the constant. We now have 5y equals negative 4x plus 20. To solve for y, we're going to use the MPE. Multiply 1/5 to both sides of the equation. We now have 1/5 times 5y equals the quantity of negative 4x plus 20 times 1/5. Then simplify. 1/5 times 5y is equal to y. Negative 4x times 1/5 is equal to negative 4 over 5x. Positive 20 times 1/5 is equal to positive 4. We now have the slope-intercept form of the given equation. We now have y equals negative 4 over 5x plus 4. Next, identify the slope denoted by m and the y-intercept denoted by b. Since the slope-intercept form of the given equation is y equals negative 4 over 5x plus 4, then the value of m or slope is equal to negative 4 over 5, and the value of b or the y-intercept is equal to 4. Next, we are going to plot the y-intercept or the point 0, 4 in the rectangular coordinate system. Now, this is the point 0, 4. Next, from the point 0, 4, we need to plot another point using the slope. That is m equals rise over run. Since our slope is negative, which is negative 4 over 5, this means that we move either 4 units upward, then 5 units to the left. We now have another point, negative 5, 8. Or 4 units downward, then 5 units to the right. We now have the third point, 5, 0. Now, since there are already 3 points, we can use the third point for checking. Now, connect the 3 points. We now have this graph. Therefore, this is the graph of the linear equation in two variables, 4x plus 5y equals 20, using the slope and y-intercept.
Easy, right? The fourth method of graphing linear equation in two variables makes use of a slope and a point on the line. The point
is the solution of a linear equation. Now, here are the steps in graphing linear equations using the slope and the point of the line. First, write the equation in the slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b and identify the slope denoted by m equals rise over run. Second, to find a point, assign a value for x and substitute it in the equation to solve for y. You will have a point x, y. Third, plot the point x, y in the rectangular coordinate plane. Fourth, from point x, y, plot another point using the slope. That is m equals rise over run. A third point is used for checking. Fifth, connect the points to form a straight line. Now, let us have an example. Graph the linear equation in two variables, negative 8x plus 6y equals negative 12, using the slope and a point. Step 1. Write the equation into slope-intercept form and identify the slope m. The given equation is negative 8x plus 6y equals negative 12. Transforming it into slope-intercept form, we now use addition property of equality. We add both sides of the equation by positive 8x. We now have negative 8x plus 6y plus positive 8x equals negative 12 plus 8x. Simplifying, negative 8x plus 8x is equal to 0. We now have 6y equals 8x minus 12. To solve for y, we now use MPE. Multiply both sides of the equation by 1 over 6. Simplifying, 1 over 6 times 6y is equal to y. 8x times 1 over 6 is equal to 4 over 3x. Negative 12 times 1 over 6 is equal to negative 2. We now have y is equal to 4 over 3x minus 2. From this equation, the slope is equal to positive 4 over 3. Step 2. Assign a value for x and substitute it in the equation to solve for y. If we let x equal to 3, we substitute it to the given equation. We have negative 8x plus 6y equals negative 12. Then this will be negative 8 times 3 plus 6y equals negative 12. Negative 8 times 3 is equal to negative 24. So we now have negative 24 plus 6y equals negative 12. Next, we use addition property of equality. We add both sides of the equation by positive 24. So we now have negative 24 plus 6y plus 24 is equal to negative 12 plus 24. Simplifying, negative 24 plus 24 is equal to 0. Negative 12 plus 24 is equal to positive 12. We now have 6y is equal to positive 12. To solve for y, we use MPE. Multiply both sides of the equation by 1 over 6. Simplifying, 1 over 6 times 6y is equal to y. 12 times 1 over 6 is equal to 2. Therefore, we now have y is equal to 2. Our point now, given the value of x which is equal to 3, is 3 and 2. You can also use the equation in its slope-intercept form in solving for y. Third step, plot the point 3, 2. This is the point 3, 2. Next step, from the point 3, 2, plot another point using the slope, which is equal to rise over run. Since our slope is equal to positive 4 over 3, this means that from point 3, 2, the graph will rise 4 units upward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 3 units to the right. 1, 2, 3. The other point now is point 6, 6. Lastly, we connect the points to form the graph. Therefore, this is the graph of the linear equation negative 8x plus 6y equals negative 12. Complicated? No. Now, let's wrap up. A linear equation in two variables can be graphed using 2 points, x and y intercepts, the slope and y-intercept, and using the slope and the point of the line. Now learners, since you already learned the different ways of graphing linear equations in two variables, then it's time to get your activity sheets and answer the following activities. Let us read the directions. Activity 1. Sketch me. A. Graph the linear equations in two variables using x-intercept and y-intercept. The first item serve as an example. B. Find the slope, y-intercept, and then graph. The first item serves as an example. Then C. Find the slope and a point, then graph. The first item also serves as an example. Just take your time in answering the activities. Now, if you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheets. To end, always remember that just like the graph of linear equation has, life is like a slope. As long as you're going up, then always look forward towards the top. Now, grade 9 learners, stay tuned and relax, for Math 9 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone!
Inihahandog ng Dibisyon ng TANGKUB City ang iba't ibang kwento, aral at kaalaman habang kayo ay nasa inyong mga tahanan. TV-based instruction.
Welcome back mga grade 9 Mathematics! Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang TANGKUB! We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin. Let's play back the scene where Rafaela asked her mother, Mrs. Salvana, about the job of her elder brother, Granger.
Tikman mo muna tong appetizer na ginawa ko kung papasa ba sa panlasa mo. Alam mo na, magsusupply na ako ng hot and cold appetizer sa resto bar na pinagtatrabahuan ng Kuya Granger mo. Ah, Nay, ano po bang trabaho ni Kuya Granger? Sa pagkakaalam ko, isang desk control supervisor ang Kuya Granger mo. And one of his functions and rules is to listen to the special request of guests. Ang galing naman ni Kuya, Nay!
What was Granger's job again? Yes, he is a desk control supervisor. As stated, one of his job functions or roles is to listen to the special requests of the guest. When we say job function, it is a set of routine tasks or activities by a person on that position. Like us teachers, in our job, we too have our own functions. Now, why are we talking about the term functions? Because in mathematics, there are types of functions. In fact, one of its types is our lesson for today. This is quadratic function. What do we mean by function in mathematics? Function is a relation wherein every element of the domain corresponds with exactly one element of the range. The domain of a function is the possible values of x. The range refers to the possible values of y. To describe the relationship of the domain, the x values, and the range, the y values, table of values is also very helpful. Look at this table of values. The x values are the domain and the y values are the range. Notice that none of the domain or values of x are repeated and each has only one corresponding range or the value of y. This means that this table shows a function. This next table does not represent a function. The x column has two values that are 3 and they correspond to two different values for y. Remember, when a single input or the x value can produce multiple outputs or y value, then the relation is not a function. Is it clear? Good. But this time, we'll focus on one of the types of functions in mathematics. It is the quadratic function. What do we mean by quadratic function? A quadratic function is a function in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers, and a should not be equal to 0. The highest exponent of the variable of a quadratic function is 2. The general form of the quadratic function y equals ax squared plus bx plus c can also be written as f of x is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. That is using the common function notation f of x. Note that f of x and y are just the same. A quadratic function can be represented by an equation, table of values, and graph. Now, learners, how to represent a quadratic function using an equation? Yes, it must be of the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. The term ax squared is the quadratic term, bx is the linear term, and c is the constant. Note that a, b, and c are real numbers, and a must not be equal to 0. Let us have an example. State whether the given equation represents a quadratic function or not. F of x is equal to x squared plus 3x plus 1. This is a quadratic function, since the highest exponent of the independent variable x is 2. What about this next equation? Y equals 4x minus 5. This is not a quadratic function, since it is of degree 1. How about this next? Y equals 3x squared plus 3x. Correct! This is a quadratic function, since the highest exponent of the independent variable x is 2. What about y equals 2 to the power of x plus 5? Very good! This is not a quadratic function, since the variable x becomes an exponent. How about y equals x to the power of 2? You are right. This is a quadratic function, since it is of degree 2. Do you get it? Good. Now, how about representing a quadratic function using a table of values? Here are some examples. Represent the quadratic function y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3 using table of values. The table of values has columns for x and its corresponding values of y. Now, choose several values for x and put them as separate rows in the x column. Now, the values of x we choose are -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tip: to choose for the values of x, it's always good to include 0, positive, and negative values. Next, substitute each x value in the given quadratic function and solve for y. Let's start with x is equal to -2. Now, if x equals -2, then we now have the given equation y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. Substituting -2 to all x in the given equation, we now have y equals -2 squared minus 2 times -2 minus 3. Simplify. -2 squared is positive 4. -2 times -2 is positive 4. We now have y equals 4 plus 4 minus 3. 4 plus 4 is 8. Minus 3, that's 5. So, we now have the value of y, which is equal to 5. Therefore, if x is equal to -2, then y is equal to 5. How about if x is equal to -1? What is the value of
1.
y? Now, substitute -1 to all x in the given equation. We now have y equals -1 squared minus 2 times -1 minus 3. Simplify. -1 squared is positive 1. -2 times -1 is positive 2. We now have y equals 1 plus 2 minus 3. Simplify. 1 plus 2 is 3. And 3 minus 3 is 0. So y equals 0 when x is equal to -1. Let's proceed to x equals 0. What is the value of y? Substituting 0 to all x in the given equation, we now have y equals 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 3. 0 squared is 0. -2 times 0 is 0. We now have y equals 0 plus 0 minus 3. 0 plus 0 is 0. Minus 3 is -3. Therefore, if x equals 0, then y equals -3. How about if x is equal to 1? What is the value of y? Substituting 1 to all x in the given equation, we now have y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. 1 squared is 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. We now have y equals 1 minus 2 minus 3. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. Therefore, if x is equal to 1, then y is equal to negative 4. Next, how about if x is equal to 2? What is the value of y? Now, substituting 2 to all x in the given equation, we now have y equals 2 squared minus 2 times 2 minus 3. 2 squared is 4. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. We now have y equals 4 minus 4 minus 3. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Therefore, if x is equal to 2, then y is equal to negative 3. Next, how about if x is equal to 3? What is the value of y? We now have, substituting 3 to all x in the given equation, we now have y equals 3 squared minus 2 times 3 minus 3. 3 squared is 9. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. We now have y equals 9 minus 6 minus 3. 9 minus 6 is 3. Minus 3, that's 0. So, if x equals 3, then y equals 0. How about if x is equal to 4? What is the value of y? Substituting 4 to all x in the given equation, that is y equals 4 squared minus 2 times 4 minus 3. 4 squared is 16. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. We now have y equals 16 minus 8 minus 3. 16 minus 8 is 8. Minus 3, that's 5. Therefore, if x is equal to 4, then y is equal to 5. Now, we now have the table of values of the given quadratic function y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. Do you get it? Well, no worries. Let's have another example. How about this quadratic function? Y equals negative 3x squared. Represent this using table of values. Setting the values of x, we have negative 2, negative 1, 0, positive 1, and positive 2. Again, it is good if we use 0, negative, and positive values of our x. To solve for y, if x is equal to negative 2, then y is equal to negative 3x squared. Substituting the value of x, we now have y equals negative 3 times negative 2 squared. Following the PEMDAS, we evaluate first the exponent before the multiplication. Negative 2 squared is positive 4. So we have y equals negative 3 times positive 4. Negative 3 times positive 4 is equal to negative 12. Therefore, when x is equal to negative 2, then y is equal to negative 12. Now, what about x is equal to negative 1? So we have y equals negative 3x squared. Substituting the value of x, which is equal to negative 1, then we have y equals negative 3 times negative 1 squared. Simplifying, we now have negative 1 squared is equal to positive 1. We now have y equals negative 3 times positive 1. Negative 3 times positive 1 is equal to negative 3. Therefore, when x is equal to negative 1, then y is equal to negative 3. If x is equal to 0, then we have y equals negative 3x squared. Substituting 0 to the variable x, we now have y is equal to negative 3 times 0 squared. 0 squared is equal to 0. So we have y equals negative 3 times 0. Negative 3 times 0 is equal to 0. Therefore, when x is equal to 0, y is also equal to 0. If x is equal to 1, then we have y equals negative 3x squared. Substituting 1 to the variable x, we now have y equals negative 3 times 1 squared. 1 squared is equal to 1. So we have y equals negative 3 times positive 1. Negative 3 times positive 1 is equal to negative 3. So, if x is equal to 1, then y is equal to negative 3. When x is equal to 2, we have y equals negative 3x squared. Substitute the value of x, which is equal to 2, we have y equals negative 3 times 2 squared. Simplifying 2 squared, we have 4. We now have y equals negative 3 times positive 4. Negative 3 times positive 4 is equal to negative 12. Therefore, when x is equal to 2, y is equal to negative 12. This is now the table of values of the quadratic function y equals negative 3x squared. Easy, right? Now, since you have learned already how to represent a quadratic function using table of values, it's time to sketch the graph of a quadratic function. Here are some examples. Represent the quadratic function y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3 using graph. Now, to graph a quadratic function, table of values is very useful. Now, we will use the table of values we made earlier of the given quadratic function y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. The table yields the ordered pairs negative 2 and 5, negative 1 and 0, 0 and negative 3, 1 and negative 4, 2 and negative 3, 3 and 0, 4 and 5. Now, let's plot each ordered pair in the Cartesian coordinate plane. Now, this is the point negative 2 and 5. This is the point negative 1, 0. This is the point 0, negative 3. This is the point 1 and negative 4. This is the point 2, negative 3. This is the point 3, 0. And this is the point 4, 5. Now, connect all the points. We formed this graph. Therefore, this is the graph of the quadratic function y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. The graph opens upward. Notice that the point 1 and negative 4 is the turning point of the graph. It is called the vertex of the graph or the parabola. Note that the graph of quadratic function is a parabola. Parabolic function is another term of a quadratic function because of the form of its graph. Now, let's have another example. How about the graph of this quadratic function? Y equals negative 3x squared. Now, let's use the table of values we created earlier. This is the table of values we had for y equals negative 3x squared. The table yields the ordered pairs negative 2, 12, negative 1, negative 3, 0, 0, 1, negative 3, and 2, negative 12. Now, let's plot each ordered pair on the Cartesian coordinate plane and then connect all the points. This is the point negative 2, negative 12. This is also the point negative 1, negative 3. This is the point 0, 0. This is also the point for 1, negative 3. And the point 2, negative 12. Let's connect the points. Therefore, this is the graph of the quadratic function y equals negative 3x squared. It opens downward. Notice that the point 0, 0, or the origin, is the turning point of the graph. Again, this is called the vertex of the parabola. Moreover, the opening of the graph of the quadratic function can be described using the value of a of the given quadratic function. Take a look at this. It can be observed on the graphs that when the value of a of the quadratic function is positive, the graph opens upward. However, when the value of a is negative, then the graph of a quadratic function opens downward. In the quadratic function y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3, the value of a is 1. It is the numerical coefficient of the quadratic term x squared. Since it is positive, then its graph opens upward. However, in the quadratic function y equals negative 3x squared, the value of a is negative, which is negative 3. So, its graph opens downward. Easy, right? Now, since you already learned how to represent quadratic function using equation, table of values, and graph, then it's time to get your activity sheets in this lesson and answer the following activities. Let us read the directions. Activity A. State whether each of the following equations represent a quadratic function or not. Justify your answer. Item number 1 is done for you. Activity B. Represent each of the following quadratic functions using table of values and graph. Graph each in a graphing paper. Take your time in answering the activities. Now, if you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teacher printed below your activity sheets. To end, always remember that life is like math. In order to have a peaceful and meaningful life, we must be responsible in our own roles or functions, whether at work or even in the society. Grade 10 learners, stay tuned and get ready for Math 10 is coming next. Good luck and God bless everyone!
Inihahandog ng Dibisyon ng TANGKUB City ang iba't ibang kwento, aral, at kaalaman habang kayo ay nasa inyong mga tahanan. TV-based instruction.
Hello! Welcome back mga grade 10 Mathanics! Today is another brand new day to learn another lesson in mathematics. Dito sa nag-isang programa nyo, ang TANGKUB. We learn all things, ang saya! Ready na ba kayo? Hooray! Now, let us begin. Now, let's play back the scene where Kimi asked her sister, Leslie, if her answer in her math problem was correct.
Sawadee ka! Hello ate!
Sawadee ka! Penyang Raibang?
May nasin ako sa'yo. Nakita mo ba? Tama ba yung sagot ko ate?
Yes, Kim. Tama yung sagot mo.
Salamat ate Les. Okay, last na lang pala. Perfect square ang 25, di ba?
Yesterday once more. Bye!
Kimi asked if 4x to the power of 4 minus 8x cubed is equal to 4x cubed times the quantity of x minus 2. And yes, Kimi's answer was correct. This equation actually shows factoring polynomials. Definitely, this factoring is through the greatest common factor, or sometimes called as common monomial factoring. Now learners, clear your thoughts and bear with us today, for we will learn different ways of factoring polynomials. For now, we will learn factoring through greatest common factor, factoring inspection, and AC method. We know that some of these factoring are not new to you because you already have these on your previous math. We can rewrite a polynomial expression in a simpler form through its factors by factoring or factorization method. A factor of a polynomial denoted by p of x is any polynomial which divides evenly into p of x. You have multiple factoring options to choose when finding the factors of polynomials. Now, let's start with the greatest common factor or common monomial factoring. GCF is the largest polynomial that will divide evenly in that polynomial. No matter how many terms a polynomial have, you always want to check the greatest common factor or the GCF first. If the polynomial has a GCF, factoring the rest of polynomial is much easier because once you factor out the GCF, then the remaining terms will be less complicated. Now, let's go back to the problem of Kimi. She was asked to factor 4x to the power of 4 minus 8x cubed. Now, let's check the process. Factor 4x to the power of 4 minus 8x cubed. Step 1. Arrange the polynomial in descending order. Now, 4x to the power of 4 minus 8x cubed is already arranged in descending order. Step 2. Look for the greatest factor common to every term. Now, since 4x cubed is common to all terms, then divide the polynomial by 4x cubed. Step 3. Let's divide the given polynomial by the greatest common factor, 4x cubed. Now, 4x to the power of 4 divided by 4x cubed is equal to x. Negative 8x cubed divided by 4x cubed is equal to negative 2. Now, express the polynomial as the product of the two factors. Therefore, the given polynomial is equal to 4x cubed times the quantity of x minus 2. You can check mentally by multiplying the factors using distributive property. Do you get it? Note that sometimes in GCF, the remaining factor still be factorable. If that's the case, then you can factor it using either of the next technique or method in factoring. Now, before we proceed to our next method, let us have a riddle first. I have two numbers. The product of the numbers is negative 24, and the sum of the two numbers is negative 2. What are the two numbers? The two numbers are negative 6 and positive 4. This situation is an example of finding the factor by inspection. Inspection factoring is just taking the factors of the last term and finding a set of factors that will create a sum of the middle term. This is also commonly known as trial and error. Now, let us have an example on factoring using inspection. Factor x squared plus 3x minus 10 using inspection. Step 1. Arrange the polynomial in descending order. Now, since x squared plus 3x minus 10 is already in descending order, then we proceed to step 2. Step 2 is to look for the greatest common factor to every term. There is no GCF on this given expression. Therefore, the factoring process begins by opening two sets of parentheses. Step 3. Place the factors for the first term of the trinomial in the front of each set of parentheses. The factors of the first term x squared is x times x. Since the last term is negative, it indicates that they don't have the same signs. So we have positive and negative. Step 4. Find the factors of the third term. Our third term is negative 10. The product of positive 5 and negative 2 is negative 10. Since the middle term is positive, it means that the bigger factor must be positive and the other factor is negative. Therefore, 5 is positive and 2 is negative. Then we use FOIL method to get the sum of the outer and inner term. The outer term is negative 2x. The inner term is positive 5x. Therefore, this yields to our middle term, positive 3x. Step 5. Express the polynomial as the product of the two factors. Therefore, the factors of x squared plus 3x minus 10 is equal to the quantity of x plus 5 times the quantity of x minus 2. You can check your answer by multiplying these factors using FOIL method. Do you get it? Factoring through inspection is tedious and a long process for some polynomial expressions. Thus, alternative way or technique is very beneficial. Another way of factoring is through grouping or AC method. How to factor polynomial using AC method? Let's have an example. Factor the polynomial 6b squared minus 5b minus 6 using AC method. Step 1. Arrange the polynomial in descending order. Now, since the polynomial 6b squared minus 5b minus 6 is already in descending order, we will proceed to step 2. Step 2. Look for the greatest factor common to every term. Now, there is no GCF or greatest common factor common to every term in the given polynomial. Step 3. Find the product of the leading term and the last term. The leading term is 6b squared. The last term is negative 6. Now, multiply them. We now have 6b squared times negative 6 is equal to negative 36b squared. Step 4. Find the factors of negative 36b squared whose sum is negative 5b, the middle term. Now, the factors of negative 36b squared whose sum is negative 5b are negative 9b and 4b, since negative 9b plus 4b is equal to the middle term, negative 5b. Step 5. Rewrite the given trinomial as a four-term expression by replacing the middle term with the sum of the factors. We now have 6b squared minus 9b plus 4b minus 6. Notice that we replace negative 5b by negative 9b plus 4b. Step 6. Group the terms with common factors and get the GCF of the first and second group. The terms 6b squared minus 9b have factors 3b times the quantity of 2b minus 3. And the terms 4b minus 6 have factors 2 times the quantity of 2b minus 3. We now have 3b times the quantity of 2b minus 3 plus 2 times the quantity of 2b minus 3. Notice that the expression now has common factor which is 2b minus 3. Therefore, we're going to copy the common binomial factor 2b minus 3 and write the sum of the common monomial factors 3b and 2. Therefore, the factors of the given polynomial 6b squared minus 5b minus 6 are the quantity of 2b minus 3 times the quantity of 3b plus 2. You can use FOIL method in checking your answer. Complicated? No. Note that there is no one specific method in factoring polynomials. However, there are some methods which are convenient in factoring a specific polynomial. Now, since you already learned factoring polynomials using GCF, AC method, and inspection method, it's time to get your activity sheet in this lesson and answer the given activities. Let us read the directions. Use any of the factoring techniques applicable to factor the following polynomials. Just take your time in answering the activities. If you have questions or clarifications, you may contact the number of your teachers printed below your activity sheets. To end, always remember that believing in yourself is always the X factor in the equation of achieving greatness in your life. Good luck and God bless everyone!
Abutin ang mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap, edukasyon
so sad. The tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now. Don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through. 'Cause I've seen the dark side too. When the night falls on you, you don't know what to do. Nothing you confess can make me love you less. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. So if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come on and talk to me now. Hey, what you got to hide? I get angry too. Well, I'm a lot like you. When you're standing at the crossroads and don't know which path to choose, let me come along. 'Cause even if you're wrong, I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. And when the night falls on you, baby, you're feeling all alone. You won't be on your own. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you.
Tanggub City, simply home. Tanggub City, simply home. This is our place, Tanggub City. There is so much you can see. A paradise from nature's best. It's a beauty among the rest. Rich in culture and history, it has a colorful festivity. One people in harmony, one people in great revelry. Tanggub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's a legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Tanggub City, simply home. 25 years of cultural fame, endless beauty in silver years. Magical symbols every Christmas, people dance in all festivals. Golden Tangkub City is a place to be. Tangkub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's the legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Gearing for progress and development, people remain focused to their commitment, preserving the tradition of good values into Tangkub City, simply call our home. Tangkub City is proudly celebrating milestones and beyond. A never-ending celebration, a joy for everyone. Come and join us, let's all have fun. It's a legacy that we have done. A brighter future of our city is at hand. Brighter future, Tangkub City, simply home. Tangkub City, simply home. Tangkub City.
Kahit maraming problema, chill ka lang, don't stop sa pag-eskwela. Kabataan, pag-asa ng ating bayan. Ikaw, ako, tayong lahat ay magtutulungan. Ihanda na ang pisara, upuan at mga mesa. Ang pag-aaral ay simulan na. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama. Abutin ang mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap. Edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa. Maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw ng sabay-sabay. Isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay.
Kahit maraming problema, chill ka lang, don't stop sa pag-eskwela. Kabataan, pag-asa ng ating bayan. Ikaw, ako, tayong lahat ay magtutulungan. Ihanda na ang pisara, upuan at mga mesa. Ang pag-aaral ay simulan na. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama. Abutin ng mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap. Edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa. Maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw ng sabay-sabay. Isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina, sa school magsama-sama. Abutin ng mga pangarap, mayaman man o mahirap. Edukasyon ay para sa lahat. Halina, balik eskwela na. Halina at magkakaisa. Maghawak ng kamay, sumigaw ng sabay-sabay. Isang tinig tungo sa tagumpay. Halina.
We hope that you have learned the most essential lessons you need to master. See you on our next episodes. This has been Ang Tangkub.
It's Tangkub, Tangkub, Tangkub time. We learn all things, it's very fun, masaya.
gusto mong maglingaw-lingaw, mga tawag magloling hayaw, mag-joyride na. Uba na ang imong barkada, silingan o pamilya, mag-joyride na. Sinating untang palibot, mga lugar sulod sa tanggob, magpubanta. Silang gato makilaw, sa sanapog sa pulaw, laagon ta. Labi na yun sa huyuhoy, ugnang dapit daghan og kahoy, talan na. Maglibot tango, maglibot tango kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maghihiusa, maghihigala, let's get together, make life feel better. Kung gusto ka og entertainment, for fun and for enjoyment, no problem ka. Sinaliloy among pambato, kung usayo smart kaayo, believe you ka. Panahon sab sa Disyembre, super gid ka aligre, malingaw gid ka. Fireworks display daghang ganahan, musidlak sa kalangitan, mapawag gid ka. Christmas symbols, capital of the Philippines. Ninira na ninyo makita, friends, diba? Diri sa tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maghihiusa, maghihigala, let's get together, make life feel better. Makita, friends, diba? Happy sa tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglipay-lipay, magsakay-sakay tala. Maglibot tanggop, maglibot tanggop kita. Maglibot tango, maglibot tango kita. Maglibot tango, maglibot tango kita. Maghihiusa, maghihigala, let's get together, make life feel better.
TV, mag-aral ng maigi to get the lessons easily.